And then Lee, can you try typing exclamation mark champ in the general?
Oh. Oh man. Oh man. All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh, nope, that wasn't it. That wasn't it. Weird flex, but okay.
Nice.
Woo! Yay!
Sweet. Uh, so I will actually get some rank icons done. Uh, this is just a little temporary icon.
Yep.
But we'll get a little icon that represents for this year that for the top four. So you'll have yours, and then each person will get theirs based on what they placed for the event. Um, so you'll have and then I'll figure out some extra perks for the top cut people for like server stuff. And I
Heck yeah.
wanted to do like custom emotes, but it doesn't look like quickly there's a way to do that, and so I have to research how to set up the custom emotes for you guys to have
Yeah, there is.
access
So
to.
you just go to the. So I'm gonna go in mine because I can actually see the settings in mine.
Yeah.
You just go to server settings. Let me see here. Emoji. Upload
Yeah.
emoji.
Settings,
Then you just have to
emoji.
make sure it's the right like format.
Of course. I mean, you have to make sure it's the right, size and.
Yeah.
Sure. And then do I just set like roll for it or something? Did they update it?
Do you hit what?
Because the only people I want to be able to use it are the top four
Oh, okay.
essentially.
Yeah, you can't assign a role
Oh,
to it. So.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a more complicated way to use the backend API to get it set up. So I'll get it set up so that you guys have your little emotes to use specifically for you guys.
Awesome.
awesome.
So Lee, I don't know if you guys have time, but Lee, do you want to do like I guess maybe do like reverse deck profiles for both of you guys?
Um. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you mean by reverse profile? Deck profile.
Well, it's kind of weird to interview yourself for your own deck profile for winning. So maybe either have Thomas or him ask you a couple questions about your deck, or you do you ask um, Rogue about his deck so that he understands the questions to ask you, and then that way you
Yeah.
can record those for content.
Um.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So it would be a little bit easier too if we had a better program for laying cards out. Untap
Yeah.
is very unfriendly
yeah.
towards that, so it's really
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
to look
Yeah.
at a layout and or go through a pile of cards. Uh,
Nick can give you my deck list.
No, I
yeah.
mean not like a physical deck profile where you just like a typical deck profile. You're like, I play three of these, and you drop them down. You don't got to necessarily do all that. Just kind of like a rundown of the list, and then just some basic questions about
Yeah.
you know
So
why did you pick those things versus like actually physically trying to highlight all the cards and stuff.
yeah, so I actually
Because
have a
that would
deck
be a
list
pain.
image. I just put it up in the stream. I set this up before the thing. I'll send it here in our chat as well. Do 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 do
Yeah.
do. I posted the link in the judge calls, so it's easier for you guys to see and take a look at. So yeah, I mean, like, if you want to know about my deck, or if you want me to tell you about my deck, I mean, I've been working on this deck for about 2 weeks now. And so for me, like, there was a lot of thought that went into it, a lot of numbers that adjusted throughout time. Like the Yasuke packages fluctuated a lot for me because it was really hard to figure out how to use them correctly and without overburdening my life total. Because if you want to use the Strife abilities, champion abilities, then you want to be able to be careful of how you use your Yasuke free units, because if you really combine the two of them, you can drain your life so hard and fast that you can get caught by surprise by a surge of attacks from your opponent.
And what did you find to be difficult for your matchups today? Were there any particular cards that are problematic for you, or anything that was interesting or surprising?
So I was honestly kind of surprised that I was able to squeeze through Thomas's defense last round. That was very strong for me. Definitely a problem card in my mind is the 4 drop
The platform.
the platform. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah, the infected summoning
Mhm.
platform. Yeah.
because that pretty much shuts off like half of a deck unless you have like there's only like 1 or 2 answers to it. There's only like I take that back. There's probably I think 3 or 4 answers to it. But if you don't have it, you just are messed over for the entire game. So you definitely have to build to make sure that you can accommodate those. And I only have 3 copies. I mean, I have 3 copies of the arrow, but I think that's the only core. Like, let's see. The strife kneel before me removes. No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. Does it?
It
The
negates
activation.
charm or snares, but generally they're gonna act like when I
Yeah,
play it, I want to activate it as soon as I can.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, the kneel before me is a little bit late. So a lot of the big 4 drops like Withering Embrace, Kneel Before Me, Sorrow, Rain Sorrows of Ethernia, like that package, and the Modori Quiet Lotus,
Mhm.
those packages, and then the 5 costs of Spectral Barrage, Yurong Spectral Barrage, are all very heavy costed kinds of units that fight for your 10 gems of resources a lot, and it's really hard to play those. So you kind of gotta like splash a little bit of all of them in my mind in order to have a well-rounded profile. This way you aren't totally caught down with everything. Like you might have like an answer to something like, or you might have a dead card.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's hard for me. I don't know if I liked the Strife Kneel before me in the main. Now I think I kind of want to put that back in the sideboard completely. I just felt like the times when I had it on board, my opponent played around it too much.
And what about you, Rogue? So you actually came in with a deck list that was significantly different than a lot of other people that were playing today, and you actually played a champion package that's been highly underrepresented by most of the players, with a heavy investment into Yirong today. So just was wondering what
Yeah.
your thoughts were on all of that, and your deck building and where you were going.
Right. So I built the deck mostly based off of Hanako. So it was like a lot of early aggression, I would say, and then getting up to like the Yuangs, and there's not a lot of good options for like high cost just beat sticks, and Yuangs are probably the best ones there are. So that's just the reason behind the bigger Yuang package,
Yeah,
honestly.
I was pretty both surprised and excited to see how well you ran the Yurong package. Like, I wasn't expecting the Yurong package to do very well, but you actually played it incredibly well. You took advantage of the ability to be able to use your champion, the Yurong champion, to be able to continue to additionally load up the things. I think
Yeah.
obviously like a natural enemy of the Yurong units is Hanako. I feel like Hanako and Yurong
Oh yeah.
are like very statistically pitted against one another. Like they can
Yeah.
just like literally like slug at each other back and forth 50-50, I think. So but
Yeah.
I think where they come into play the Yurong is really good at taking out massive threats on your opponent's side of the board, and while still having a continuous source of eternal removal.
Yeah. Plus the 5 drop Yuang is really good at just um, basically stalling
Yeah.
for turns.
The type of player I am is a tempo aggro player. Like I love to like just turn shit sideways. So for me, the Hanako package is a natural yes, and
Yeah.
the rank package and the Midori packages not being able to attack really feel like not being able to attack lanes really makes it difficult for me to want to run
Yeah.
them. So I run them very selectively in my splash because of that. Just because that's how my style is.
Yeah. I can follow that because yeah, I just want to go like off the draw, summon a Hanako and just get in for like 4 damage per turn.
Yeah. Because like even in that last game that we just played, even though I won, right? I mean like that
Yeah.
Midori that was sitting in my hand, like the fact that she couldn't attack at all and do damage
Yeah.
and attack to a lane made it so that that card was a dead card unless it came very specifically in help. So I think where Midori the Lotus really shines is with the Hanako package in the 3-drop Hanako unit. That's where how I learned to play the
Oh, yeah.
Midori Lotus was
Yeah.
when Thomas and I were playing early on because we were on the same team and everything. So we play test together a lot. When we were playing early on, this was a combo that he used against me pretty heavily to be able to use the 3-drop Hanako in
Yeah.
order to your opponent activates something, and then you put something in your afterworld, and then you can bring in your Hanako quantum coercion and get it back from the graveyard. So like I had the Midori in my hand, and I was really kind of concerned about that infected summoning platform, and I was like setting up steps in my mind to try to get to that phase where I could set up the Midori into play and maybe activate the Hanako to get that the arrow into my afterworld in order to try to get it back into my hand to use it against your platform. I mean, like
Yeah.
these are the types of plays that you have to manipulate a lot. There's a lot of card manipulation, and like you have to like think actually like 6 steps ahead sometimes. Like you have to think like literally 3 turns ahead in a TCG, which is hard to do anyways, just because everything's always changing.
Yeah.
I would like to. Ooh, go ahead.
The what's it? Kinetic coercion, Hanako 3-drop.
Yeah.
The recursion ability on that is actually really, really useful.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was running Quantum Kitten, because it expels itself, so you can just loop it.
Right.
Yeah, that
Yes.
was really cool to see. Both the looping of the Quantum Kitten was really interesting to see, as well as how you were able to aggressively cycle through the fans repeatedly to continually apply pressure and have defense. It was I thought that was really cool to watch that.
Yeah, I'd even consider playing a copy of Quantum Kitten in my deck now just because of how you used it with the Hanako package.
Yeah, I think it makes after seeing it played in this particular style, it makes it a little interesting because you have to really decide when you're going to use those forbidden arrows, because if you get to a point where Kitten can be recursive, recycled a lot, and you have no way to get it off the board, right? You potentially could be seeing huge huge units, huge Erongs or whatever it may be, on a consistent basis, just flooding and just out resourcing for two gems, which can be really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite thing to hit off of the Kitten Mittens today?
I actually only resolved it once.
Oh, was that against me? I think you resolved it and you dropped in the 3-drop.
Yeah, it's summoned a Hanako, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is. But the thought process behind running the kitten is also because in the main decks I was expecting like 3 arrow from everyone, but then that was it for like backway removal. So it does put pressure on like drawing the arrow and what do you use it on.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of arrow pressure for sure. Like when I was playing against Thomas last game, like he was very heavy on the board, and I almost lost the game because I couldn't draw into my arrows soon enough to get rid of the platforms. Because he had a platform on both sides of the board and like a heart banner on both sides of the board, and I'm just like, this is disgusting. Please go away.
Well, and that's where the Quiet Lotus really shines.
Yeah.
Because if you combo it with platform and they can't get rid of platform, like you can't play the Hanakos on that side, so you can't get around get around her keyword, her entice ability. So it literally they would have to either fan it and put it back to your hand, or play something that's going to destroy my card effect.
You know what Thomas did to me that was incredibly rude? Is he had the Midori Lotus on board and the Midori, and he switched into the Midori champion so that he could like double shield the Midori against removal, and I'm just like, okay. And so I had to like literally, what did I use? I used
You end up burning like 6 resources off of it.
yeah, it was
Oh,
really
God.
frustrating, but I had to do it.
Oh
I
no,
think
you pepper planted.
I pepper
and then
planted it
you-
and I Hanako'd it in order to get rid of it. So like, it's hard, yeah. And so like crushing gems is an interesting concept in this game too. That it's really difficult to manage because if you crush them too fast, too hard, too soon, like you put yourself back behind the curve.
Oh, yeah.
So like if you're crushing a gem on turn 2 or 3, like you're putting yourself back to turn 2 or 3 the next turn.
Yeah, like that's the benefit I saw in our second game, where
Yeah.
I just had the coin the entire game.
Yeah. And you were just able to hold that coin and be like, okay, I'm ready to use this when I have to.
Yeah, hogging the coin is super clutch going.
Mhm.
Like even at best of 1, like 90% of my games, I'm gonna say I want to go second just because I get the extra card draw and the extra mana.
hmm
Yeah. Plus with the Hanakos, it's really easy to go second.
Yeah,
Yep. And additionally, there's a lot of reactionary things that you could do that's really easy to go second as well. That way, you can even behind the curve, you can still protect yourself.
Yeah.
What about Midori's ultimate? So she has not really seen much of any play whatsoever so far, and so I'm wondering what your guys' thoughts are now that you see that games can go the distance. If you think that in the future people are going to start eyeballing this card as having some more potential.
I think that the fact that you have to remove 3 Midoris from those zones is going to be really hard to do because the Midori units are very expensive to play. Anytime that you have to get those things into those zones, if you don't have an unnatural means of getting them into those zones, then you're not going to be able to have the resources to be able to strip them away to get that protection. I feel like the protection isn't worth the cost. I feel like the protection is good, but there's other things that you could do for better cost management, better resource management.
Oh, I think he was actually talking about the 10-drop ultimate.
Yeah.
Well,
the
okay.
Ultimate, yeah.
So there's my perspective on Midori's limit, burst limit.
Right, yeah.
Let's go to the print and play and read the big card.
Let's see. Well, it restores all your gems, or is it? You
No, that's the
don't have
Hanako
to
one.
pay the. You don't have to pay the gem cost for.
Yeah, no gem cost.
So this is essentially no gem cost, and you just get to go ham for the turn.
So she can only be gem summoned, so that means that you have to be able to have all 10. Then you may play cards from your hand without paying their gem costs. And if I was gem summoned at the beginning of your opponent's next turn, you lose the match even if I've left the lane. So
I feel like it's a very win more card.
yeah, I agree. Like
Yeah.
if you're in that position, if you have if you're playing this card, you're either in one of 2 positions. You're in such a good condition that you're already winning the game, that you have the luxury of playing this card, or you're in such a bad, desperate position that you have to play this card, and you're probably not going to have enough effect to win the game.
I think playing this in time and having 3 hero callings is the most broken thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Well,
no, but it can only be gem summoned.
No, that's fine.
No,
so
no,
you
so
summon it on
yeah.
10, and then you play Heroes Calling from your hand for free. So you get to reborn anything from your discard, and it has haste.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, the problem is it's a 10 cost in like assuming a format full of Hanakos.
Yeah.
I think my list of what I'm currently playing would, if I played it correctly, would benefit a lot from it because I can stall with my platforms and my enticing units and my amulet.
But in the game that you and I had, as much as you stalled out, you weren't attacking my lane as much as you could have. So in order for you to have drained my lane from a position where you stalled out enough to be able to play this card, I mean, the game would have really had to have been very different.
True, but in the same sense, like my list, I'm not playing any arrows. Like I'm not playing any spell or any charm or snare hate.
So here's the thing, right? So if you play Midori, so Midori is a glass cannon. This Midori Ultimate is a glass cannon.
Yeah.
You can either hit it really good and get the extra out of it, or you can end up just like shattering all over yourself, and dying.
I mean, I would use this card if I can guarantee myself the win. Obviously, if I'm guaranteeing myself the win the turn
Yes.
I play it,
Like your opponent
or
has
if
to be tapped out, nothing on board that they can use.
right, or well, not even just that. Like it would have to be in time. I'm the last turn,
Yeah.
and then I
Yeah.
play it. I literally play everything out just to get your life as low as I can.
I feel like by the time that you get to that end time, though, I mean, you're already your resources are
You
already
should
so
be so
broken
far ahead.
that
Yeah.
you probably don't have much of a hand anymore. You probably have already put all your effort into everything, and so this is just you're not going to really have much to get, not much benefit to get from playing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like
And
I was gonna say, like in Leoni's game, like we played that entire 2 hours and
Yeah.
14 minutes,
Yeah,
and I still had 4 cards in my hand and drew my last card.
yeah, yeah. I made you deck out.
But I did not lose by decking out, so we'll.
Yo, yeah. So he was at 0 cards and lost to life.
That's right. That's right.
uh,
But I would definitely like you, like a
Like,
really
if you're
good
playing-
hand. I was gonna say a
if
really
you're
good
playing-
hand with the Midori would be like triple hero calling with like triple Yasuke Art of War, like, and you just gain so much quickness. Because even with triple, like that's 20. No, it's 18 just off the Yasuke's.
The only deck I can visibly see playing the ultimate is a Midori control deck,
yeah.
and Midori is a draw card effectively. So in that deck, I can see it having a good use. But other than that,
Like you Yasuke, draw as many cards as you can, play the 5-drop, let them draw more cards out, and you just like blow them out. But I know I will definitely be playing a katana because I wasn't playing katana before.
Yeah.
Um,
And you were
Yeah.
slowly crushing your gems.
Yeah.
And I was okay with that. And in
I mean,
fact,
and it needed
in
to be
fact,
done. So.
it needed to be done. And honestly, like there was a lot of ways where I saw that there were opportunities for you to crush gems, and I'm like, I need to force him to crush gems.
You would have been in trouble if I played that katana though.
Yeah. Of course. I think Katana is so good, and it's just a 1-drop. It set me up so many times.
yeah.
Like, it set me up in order to play my 7-drop in order to win that game.
Yeah.
So I also saw a lot more play from different people of the card Exhaust. It wasn't being played at all, and then all of a sudden, boom, it was in like half of people's decks. So, what was your guys' thoughts with that card?
Overworked. I really liked Overworked. I think it's a good anti-Hanako card.
And I mained it, but I'm actually considering cutting it. I just didn't see it useful enough.
So we got the whole myriad of perspectives here. So Thomas is in
Yeah.
love with it, and
I won't say I'm in love with it. I think it's a really good anti-Hanako card.
and
Like, it makes it
I
where you
think
can't
it's
stop.
terrible.
That's because I used it against you.
No. I thought this card was terrible before you ever used it against me, and I told you that too. You know. So the thing is, like, to exhaust something, and at a cost of 3 is kind of hard. We're in a
Yeah.
snare world where everything is cost 3 or 1. If this cost 2 to maybe okay, sure. But at cost 3, I think that you're just looking at better options in that range. I feel like
Yeah.
this is just a die slower card. I always look at Overworked as a die slower card.
And what did you guys think about Yeet? So I actually only saw it come up once in the tournament, and unfortunately, the person who was playing it did not realize that it was a reactive snare, and that they could link it to what was going on, so they didn't activate it.
Yeah.
But was just curious what you guys' thoughts were on that particular thing, since it has such a huge range of ability based on the cost.
So that's the thing is like you have to dump in a really high costed card in order to guarantee a good benefit, or even to risk the gamble of it. And if you're paying that much resources, you might as well just play the card itself. And so, like, let's see, select a card at random from your opponent's hand, and if they reveal it, and they reveal it, if that card's cost is less than or equal to this card's activation cost, return it to the deck and shuffle it. If not, return your revealed card and shuffle it. I mean, just
It's
to
also a luck thing. Right?
what's that?
It's also a luck thing.
Yeah, so it's all
Yeah,
luck.
yeah.
So you don't know what card
Yeah.
you're getting from their hand. So I mean, you could get like could you imagine how horrible that would feel? Like opening up your opponent's 10-drop Midori and being like, "Oh, okay." Like, could you imagine like dumping 7 into like a Yurong or something, and then being
Yeah, and
like,
then
I
just
mean,
feeling sad.
"Yeah,
my thoughts on it is that it one gives you public knowledge of a card that's in their hand because
sure."
they're gonna reveal it either way. So
So
even if it doesn't go back,
So what do you want to do? Do you want to just do like one card and like the card that you don't want, you can just say like, hey, listen, I want to use up a card. I want to use up a snare and I want to use up whatever small card in my hand that I want to use just to be able to see a card in your hand. Maybe a 3-cost card from my hand. So maybe I'm paying 3 to waste 2 cards in my hand in order to get a glimpse of a card in your hand.
if I played this, I would play it with Brick Cities and
Yeah.
with Quantum Kitties.
Right, because
The other question is, you got to also think about like the mid game state, right? So, like for example, if you see people playing a heavy Hanako package, right, then you know that at least 9 to 10 cards in the deck are under 4.
yeah,
So
but
it's
not
like, if you
necessarily.
start
I
to get
mean,
into well, yeah, I mean, you have all the other stuff that goes along with it, but as the game starts to get to a simplified game state, then you have a higher probability of this being a better success versus very early on, right? If you're just blindly doing it in like the first 2 turns, you might get dunked on.
so no, I actually agree. I disagree. I believe the exact opposite. I believe that the best time to use this card is in the beginning because that's when your opponent's going to have the most low cost cards in their hand. When
Yeah, that also makes sense because like the mulligan and wanting to have some plays early on.
you want to be able, when you mulligan, you want to have a bunch of small stuff that you can be like, okay, listen, I have a few options that I can start working the game with, right? In addition to that, between turns 1 and 4, you're dumping all of those small things onto the board, and you have all the big things left in your hand. So if you're like, I want to play Yeet turn 4, 5, 6 mid game, you're looking at opening up your opponent's mid range to late range cards, and that means you got to dump a lot of resources into it.
Yeah, I totally didn't think about that. That's true. And I didn't see it. I don't know if people were citing it in or if they were just citing in the fear of it, but I didn't see any like silent schools today.
Yeah. Let me go back to that card.
I wanted to. I didn't have room for it. Like I wanted to I wanted to main it, but I was already running at 44.
Yeah. I'd probably run it over the overworked, but yeah, that's about it really.
Where is it? Where is it? Let's see. There it is. Found it. So yeah, I mean, we got a 4-drop charm, and this if an Eternal activates a rally effect, you can negate that effect, or if an Eternal activates a non-rally effect, you can target 2 Eternals in your underworld, remove those targets from the game, negate that effect. So we
To be
don't
real.
want to remove things from the game, even if they're in our underworld, because there's a lot of things that interact with both the underworld and the afterworld. We aren't really ready yet to be constantly removing things from the game unless the effect is incredible. And the ability to there's not that many rally effects in the game either. The rally effects that exist are very strong and important, but you're sitting on a 4-cost charm that you have to hold up resources for in case your opponent plays a one-drop Hanako ultimate or something. You know, I mean, like,
I mean, a 7-drop rain
seven
could
drop
be.
rain, sure, but you're still holding up 4 resources for it in order to
You'd
stop it.
rather hold the three gems for an obliteration
Yes,
engine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which obviously
Yes and
obliteration
no. I
engine
would.
costs the life, which is harder
Yeah,
to
which
to
is that.
justify.
That's the big thing. But this way, it's really double edged,
Mhm.
because if, let's say, if they drop the 0 cost Yasuke ultimate, and you like, they go to play the card, and you're like, oh well, you can win the game. Like, sure. I mean, you can't engine that, so you would have to silence full it.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
there are pros and cons on both sides, but
Mhm.
like, I think that it being a 4 is not
Yeah.
terrible.
I think it makes it unplayable.
But I think that this would be nice to stop Hanako's if you had the extra. I mean, if you had the 4 for it.
So if I feel like if you want to play this card, you put it in your sideboard as a 1 or 2 of at the most, maybe a 1 of.
And then with Hanako being so popular, I went ahead and I posted Shin's rough kit in the judge calls area, just not to disturb the whole general group chat right now. But with this guy coming out, having such a kit that is very much designed to kind of combat that, how do you guys feel that this is going to affect what's going on in terms of deck selection and especially with that Hanako package?
So this is gonna take some time to read and interpret before I can start answering questions on that. Like all the other cards in all the rest of the packages we've gone through like time and time
Yeah, you've
again.
been super used to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, the 3-drop has haste and the intercept. I'm totally cool with that.
so yeah, I'd like to see some more intercept in the game. I don't know what I'm reading yet, but I think that intercept is an underrepresented ability in this game so far.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I'm seeing, I mean, I'm seeing a 4-drop with Shell and with intercept. Shell is very interesting.
I don't know what shell is yet either. So
Shell is the first time something would be destroyed by card effect in the turn. It's not.
okay.
Okay.
By card
Is it
effects.
just the first turn, or is it period?
Is it just effects or is it combat?
No, it's just effects.
Yep. Yeah. So
Tom, to answer your question, we're still testing to determine if it's going to be a full-on forever or not, because I don't want to introduce something that necessarily becomes this huge problem about being like, ha ha ha, you can't, that's what can't be destroyed by card effect should be used for versus this.
Agreed.
I think, yeah.
So I think that the Hanako package is actually really incredibly important to the speed of the game. I feel like if
Yeah.
you want to have a game finished, you need to have ways to attack, and Hanako is one of the only reliable ways of doing damage to your opponent's 40 life to be able to actually complete a game.
Yeah, I think I finished most of my games with Hanakos. Yeah.
So I think we
I-
need some more cleaner combat stuff too.
I really like the 8-drop Yasuke though.
Yeah.
Like against you had 5 Eternals, and I just like I dropped it, and I was just like, it's gonna sit here, and I'm gonna take some damage, but I'm gonna clear your lane off.
Rogue, was it against you that I played I played that guy, right? And I lost because of it?
Wait, which one?
I think
Yeah.
yeah, our first
Yeah.
match, like match 2 or whatever, round 2 or whatever, I think you and I played, and I lost to you. And it
Yeah.
was in large part because I played the Yasuke's wrong.
Yeah, playing Yasuke, you really have to
Yeah.
be very like the 3-drop that comes in for free that you take 1 damage is fine.
Yep.
The 5-drop
Yeah.
you don't take damage, but then the 8-drop you have to be very careful, because like I'll drop it, I'll get a couple attacks in, and then I'll make sure before I drop it that I can at least empty my hand down to 1 or 2. That way I can get rid of it and other Yasuke cards just to draw cards and not have to take the damage at the end.
I mean, the 3-drop is a great answer to Hanako on its own.
Yeah, because it definitely stops Hanako from being able to attack and get through.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you can't activate charms, items, or effects of Eternals like this, it cannot be pepper planted,
yeah.
which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
You can crash into Withering Embraces and not have their effects activate. It can't be strifed. It can't be Midori'd.
So when I see my opponent drop down, the 8-drop, um, Yasuke, I consider that lane dead for both players. Like, let's just like skip ahead and like set both life totals to 0 and just be done
Yeah.
with it. But like, I like what you did to get rid of it. Is you cited it, you brought in your Yasuke champion, and you used his last ability. I didn't have enough Yasukes in my deck to be able to do that. And then you were able to get rid of him from play using the burst limit.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't going for the 1-turn kill with the 0-drop. Like, my main plan for his ultimate is to have at least 3 in my underworld when I do play it,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
surprisingly didn't happen at all today. Like, there were times where I was just like, okay, I need to get some stuff off board. I'm taking too much life. I'm just going to draw cards.
Yeah.
And, how do you guys feel now after playing the event about kinetic execution and then the Lotus card being the exotic rares?
I'm very upset. I want 3 of each. I'm more wanting hero callings to be my first place out of exotics, but I will take what I can get. To be fair, and I was telling Nick this earlier, I actually was not playing Hanako at all in this build, and I was like, well, worst case scenario, I'll play Hanako until I can't anymore, and then I'll activate my platforms, and it worked really well.
Yeah.
Going forward, especially on like the damage side, what range do you think is going to be kind of healthy in terms of providing people ways to have kill potential?
What do you think? You're saying, what do you think that the power of the average Eternal that can hit lanes should be?
Yeah, so I mean, you have the Hanako packages like the baseline, right? So that's
Yeah.
your current main primary damage dealer. But going forward, we don't want to necessarily front load everything into like a super low cost, because then all the big stuff's going to get largely ignored. But we need to, what do you guys think after playing feels kind of healthy for the game? Because in the long term we'll be able to like retire stuff, but we want to make sure that like you said, we're accelerating the pace of stuff a little bit.
I really felt like 3s and 4s felt like you were actually progressing the game, and that was fine. With the occasional pings of 1s and 2s were really helpful, but like the 3s and 4s, when you landed a 3-drop Hanako, you're just like, yes, ka-chunk, take that.
It was very satisfying.
So I feel like there's not a whole lot that was more than 4 power that was hitting lanes.
I think low cost, like 2s and 3s, and then mid cost 4s, 5s maybe.
Yeah, like the Charger, the Strife Charger being a 5 cost, and being a 4/4 that you can give haste. That's like great, because he can be either a 4/4 that just sits there and gives something else haste, or he can give himself haste. I feel like he's the type of power level that's going to be needed to be able to have progressive games.
Yeah.
Okay, so more beefier mid-range stuff.
Some, like, you don't want to overload it, like you're saying. You don't want to like make it too overloaded, but you want, when one of those guys hits, for it to actually have an effect on the game. And by effect, you mean you're taking somebody down from 12 to like to 8, bring them back into that kill range. Yeah. So I feel like if your opponent's at 6 health, that's the kill range. Like 6 is the kill range.
Yeah.
Like if you can get them under 10, you're like, okay. If you can get them under 10 while you're still in your mid-teens, that's a good position. But if you can get them down to like sixes, sixes, eights on both sides, and you're at your 10s and 12s, that's a good position too. Like that last game that I had with Rogue, I was doing pretty good with the health total on my side, managing that and managing the board at the same time.
Yeah.
I know he struggled to get some stuff out and get set up. When he fired off his Hanako package, that worked pretty good for a little while, but I was just able to do it faster that last game.
Yeah.
So I feel like 3s to 5s are good ranges because like it's 40 life and 2 lanes. It's a lot. And it's a lot that you have to do all in an hour. And again, you don't have to have uh, like for example, the fact that Urang can't even hit a lane at all in any of its Eternals is
Yeah.
frustrating because if you want to play a Urang package and you're like, okay, well now I have to sacrifice my ability to actually truly progress in the game. Like
Yeah.
Urang is a defensive champion. It feels offensive because you're always attacking with it, but it's a very defensive champion, and you have to play it like defense.
I don't see it's defensive. I think it's more control than anything.
But that's defensive.
Well, no. I mean, there is a difference between being defensive like Midori and being controlling because the first strike haste like really tears apart a lot of stuff, and especially for the 5-drop being a 5/2, like the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head is the 6-drop Strife ultimate that has 6 health. Like mostly everything else that your opponent plays out will almost automatically die to the 5-drop.
Yeah, which is why I play a copy of the 5-drop in my main and 2 in the sideboard. In case I'm like, okay, listen, my opponent's just playing a bunch of chunky monkeys. Let's get me some removal for that.
But it's also really good because I've noticed a lot of people are playing Amulet, and so it's literally a 1-for-1 of Amulet.
Amulet's a very tricky card too.
Oh no, it's cancer. It's horrible. I love it, but it's horrible.
Yeah.
Like against our game, you had like we were swapping between 2 on each side, for several turns. But the fact that like I could do wrong and just go through your tokens and just take out your tokens and then swing for anything else I want to. Like, and that's really what she's going to be there for. The burst ability I really like. Like it's super luck based. But I like the fact that you have a potential to, to gain really like a huge advantage off of it.
Yeah.
So, the tokens in general, I think that they should be Eternals. I think that there's a lot of things that you can be okay with the banner if the tokens that you summon are actually Eternals. Because there's a lot of different ways that you can actually interact with them that way too. If they're not Eternals, then it's very hard to remove them except through combat. And then you're talking about the first turn that the banner comes out. You're talking about if you want to deal with a banner through combat, you have to take care of literally 10 points of damage before you can even, take care of the banner through combat.
And this is kind of why I was citing the Tiger card.
Yeah.
The Trojan Tiger. Because it just deals with the token and the banner.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get rid of the tokens. It's non-token.
Non-eternal, non-token. Yep.
But the 6-drop you're wrong can get rid of, like if you have the charms for it. So like if you have let's say I won't say dead charms, but if they're like something you want to place under it, you just use her soft once per turn to put it back on top of the deck. Or if you play like Brick City and then you just use your champion ability to attach it, and then you can get rid of the banner. Like you just get rid of the banner at that point. Yeah. And then if you have extra arrows, let's say you have extra arrows and you can go for game, you can arrow their token because it's a non-eternal, non-champion card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that has to be a poised to win kind of moment, and those are very going to be very few and frequent in
Yeah.
between for the arrow versus the banner tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well,
there's so the next champion's coming out, but the one that's right after that champion, which technically releases, ideally at the same time, that champion is a lot more beefier and also introduces a lot more of that non-eternal destruction. Like one of
destruction.
her cards has something where she's just like summon me, pop a card, and draw something.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I mean, yeah. So like, so far the feel for Ethernia is very, um, like you have a lot of things that you can do in a turn, which is really nice. And you can save half of it for your opponent's turn if you want, or all of it if you're Thomas.
That's right.
And
And then
it's
and then you worry Lee when I don't tap anything.
yeah, I'm just like um, but it's now I lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, the interaction. I was thinking about the interaction, and the interaction is just there's a lot that you can do in the game, and sometimes you just play one or two big things, or you play a big thing and hold a small thing, and maybe sometimes you go all out, sometimes you just split it up. There's a lot that you can do in this game, and I like the level of interaction. I enjoy playing card games where you're not just out of a game because of one block of interactions. You're like, okay, well, maybe that kind of put me back pretty heavily for a very significant part of the game, but can I come back from it? And that's the victory from coming back from a strong setback is a very triumphant and incredible feeling that really makes you proud to play the game that you want to play. So you want to be able to have that flexibility to be able to have that comeback. Um, so that's definitely something that I like and enjoy and I look for is can you continue to play the game or are you just locked out and stumped for all eternity? And for me,
Uh,
the the platform is one of those cards that makes it so that you're pretty much stumped. But it's not impossible. It's just difficult.
yeah, I was just curious, Rogue. What was your primary game before coming and playing this? Did I lose you?
Rogue, Rogue, he's talking to
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, what was that, Nick?
Oh, I said, what was your primary game before playing this, or your primary history for card game?
Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
cool. So I was just curious, what are your thoughts, kind of in comparison, especially because I came from that background, which is why I'm always curious to see,
Yeah.
what people, what their thoughts are, in terms of, coming over and trying this out.
I mean, yeah, it plays almost similar. It's a lot slower because of the gems, but it plays a lot similar. Especially like Hanako. That feels a very kind of Yu-Gi-Oh-ish thing.
Cool, cool. And then I guess from I guess a standpoint, do you feel that um, as things pick up, does that kind of put it more in like a healthier standpoint, or is it still more entertaining to kind of have that, flood all onto the board, kind of break my board over in a couple turns kind of thing feel?
And this definitely has a lot more back and forth going, but to some extent, it also has that like I've got a board, break my board feel. It's a lot more balanced in that way, I'd say.
Yeah, when Rogue and I played in round 3, I made the comment. I was like, I'm pretty much playing a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Like it's floodgates galore. Like I'm gonna stop you as much as I can, and I'm gonna go for game.
Yeah, myself, I don't have any Yu-Gi-Oh background. When I played Yu-Gi-Oh, I was in high school, and I'm 33 now. And when I was in high school, what I played right is my friends wanted me to play with them, so I'm like, okay, well, like, listen, I don't really have any interest in this game, but if you let me put a deck together with your cards, I'll at least play with you. And so I did, and I just like slapped together a deck of like 3 4-star monsters and a couple of goats and monster reborns, and that was my deck. It was like all 1800 power, just like come in, swing, crush your 8,000 life with with 3 or 4 or 5 attacks and just be done with the game. And I would win consistently, and it was boring as hell to me. I know the Yu-Gi-Oh has evolved very, very much since then.
No,
but
it's still boring. Don't worry.
yeah. And that's not to say that Yu-Gi-Oh is boring, but my perspective has always been from when I started to play. And so I was a Magic player. I went through the Magic circuit for a little while, and I've grown pretty um, tired of Magic in a lot of ways. It's very, it just doesn't connect with me like it used to. And I started searching for new card games, and I landed in Force of Will for a little bit at locals, and we started to do some small travel stuff together as a small little locals group, and it became what is now the Tavern Brawlers. We had a little local team that was very casual, and then Force of Will got hit really hard, like just like after the 6 months I started playing it, and then I'm like, okay, well, this sucks. And then at the same time as Force of Will was crashing, Argent Saga was just exploding out of the gates. It's just like floodgate of Argent Saga activity. Like the community was huge, supportive, very big, very excited, very hype. And so we rode that hype, and we grew as a team through Argent Saga, and we developed a lot of connections, and we developed a lot of our professionalism and what we wanted to do as a team, and some of our goals, becoming semi-professional community builders type team into what we are right now. And so there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of growth. There's a lot of things that always need to get done. And so Argent Saga broke our hearts when it died out because of how fun it was. And what made that fun is how interactive the game was. Because of the tower system, you were never truly out of a game right away. You always had the opportunities to come back and deal with your opponent's initial responses. And that was a lot of fun to play it like that. And so for me, when I explain this game, when I explain Ethernia to people, I describe it as Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic and Commander and Force of Will. And like I just use the components of each of those games that I understand to help explain the game as it is.
Yeah, I kind of explain it as Yu-Gi-Oh crosses Hearthstone.
What was the last one?
Hearthstone. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I know that one.
It's the Blizzard card game. It does the same mana, like the mana replenish as Argent Saga does.
Okay.
But yeah, I wanted to just chime in and say that like it's really nice to have the Tavern Brawlers players in and playing. You guys have been really positive for the community, and it's good to have people who, especially in card game communities, there can be a lot of toxic people, and you guys are very much the opposite of that. So it's really really refreshing to be able to, even though I don't get much time to play because I'm doing so many other things.
Yeah.
It's really refreshing to like see you guys play and to see positive interactions and bringing those positive interactions to the community. Because in a lot of games you don't have that, and it's really a bummer. So it's really cool to have that from you guys.
Thanks, really appreciate that. That's definitely central to who we are as a team. So it's nice to hear that people get that feel from us.
But I do expect you to BM everyone and spam the champ emote every chance you get.
All right, I'll try.
Do you know
I'll
who
try.
I am?
Yeah. Listen.
Spam.
Yeah,
I
just
can't.
waiting for
I
someone
can't.
to tell you you're bad at the game, and then you just be like, weird flex, but okay.
Yeah. So I want somebody to be like, I think this card is bad, and I'll be like, I think this card is great, and they're like, I think you're dumb, and I'll be like, spam.
And they're gonna go, well then, back into my cave.
Yeah. um. So yeah, it was a great event. Thanks for hosting the event for us. Thank you for the great surprise support for it. That's gonna be so much fun to open. We're gonna do live openings of the content as well, and post that content once we get that as well. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be super exciting to see everyone open those up. I hope you guys pull awesome stuff because it's random. I
Yeah,
don't know what's gonna be in there, so
yeah. I don't even know. Like, so what is it? It's like foil, single foil packs, right?
yep. So single foil packs for the
Yep.
Ascension packs.
Okay.
I'm assuming it's coming out of the same case, so it's still going to be at 3 exotic per 100.
Yeah, so there's gonna be three for the 100. I just don't know who's gonna be the ones to get those. So.
Yep.
There may be this unfortunate thing where Lee opens up 50 packs and doesn't pull any, and I'm gonna feel really bad
And
about it. But...
pulls all the regular, like all the basic foils.
Yeah, that'll be my life.
Lee's like, starting secondary market. Let's go right now.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, just the ability to not have to be so invested in the secondary market is going to be incredibly, hugely refreshing and important for me.
It is definitely a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I'm like, my wallet needs a break.
Like, I like it in one sense, but at the same time, like, I mean, I'm a rare hunter, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like, I love my foils, and knowing that I need a playset of every exotic rare is gonna suck.
Yeah. I'm a collector player myself, so I mean it's really hard because like you need to have everything for two reasons. One, you need to have a playset of everything to play, and you need to have like all the best of everything because you're like a collector, and like you just want to like you're like just like got this like crazed look in your eyes and drool coming out, you foaming at the sides of your mouth, like oh my god, I need all these things and blah blah blah, and like I bought into a good chunk of a starter Kickstarter pack. And so like I'm excited to get those things and start putting together the fancy stuff from them.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty cool. But hopefully things aren't as expensive.
Yep.
But I think it's really nice that hopefully at the beginning, people like Tom might look out and people aren't necessarily valuing things too insanely.
Yeah.
And people are not gonna realize that there's no reprints on these things. So this is it. It's and that was important. Because I respect and understand that people are like that. I used to be like that with Yu-Gi-Oh very much. Where
max rarity or nothing at all.
Yeah, like my absolute favorite deck in that game was max rarity Plantsworn. Right, and that was the first thing I ever did. I made it in French. I got max rarity French Plantsworn, and then maybe 3 months later, the whole deck got banned.
Super Spores and Ulti Glow Bulbs and
all of that good stuff.
Super Debris Dragons and Ulti and Ghost Black Rose Dragons. Oh, that was so pretty.
Ultimate, were they Debris Dragon? Yeah, it was Ultimate.
Yeah,
Debris Dragon
Debris.
Was one of my first. Yeah, and so that was really cool. But having this ability for people to have those nice things and collect them and know for sure that no matter what happens, those things are not going to get printed off again and just feel really scummy. I think it's just nice, right? You're just like, I know I can go out and get this, and over time it's going to appreciate. And I think that was a big lesson from Magic, right? Like Magic did that, and for the most part, I mean that's why Magic has the value that it has today for a lot of those things, right? But with Yu-Gi-Oh, you have no confidence in that. Yu-Gi-Oh will be like, hey, so I hear you have Forbidden Droplets at $120 each. It would be a shame if we just reprinted them as ultis for no reason.
I would like to throw my hat in and say I would like some platforms as foils in the next rotation. Just not exotic. I'm okay with it not being exotic.
You should get on like foil platforms. This way, when he's standing on them, he slips right off.
That's right.
Yeah, so we'll be able to, eventually everything will get some kind of foil print. It won't be right away. And the simple reason behind that is that nobody would buy packs anymore, right?
Right.
You would just go to
Yeah.
your locals and be like, hey, so I hear you can buy these boxes of shiny cards. Can you just buy me some of those, please?
Yep.
And for I mean, to be honest, for what we sell them to the actual store for, I don't really make money on them. It's almost that you have to sell them at cost.
Yep.
Uh, so, um, it wouldn't be healthy for the game to not have people getting the little regular cardboard ones. I mean, it's still an uphill. Honestly, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah.
But hopefully, as time goes by, you start to get more people that go, especially with stuff opening back up, you're going to get more people saying, hey, this is something chill to get into,
Yep.
and enjoying playing this and knowing that, even if it starts out as like a side game for a lot of people,
Yeah.
which I'm sure it will, they're going to be like, hey, I'm bored of playing this today. Let's, spend $20 playing this. Over time, you'll start to get them to roll over.
Yeah. I know like my LGS is like kind of struggling to get by right now, and like his financial focus is like, man, I need to get some Pokemon in here right now because like I can't keep it on the shelf, and that's what I need to get. So like he is like all focused on that right now, and he's like, no new games, no new games, and I'm just
Well,
like,
Well, I think that once things start to get rolling, it's going to be a lot more appealing to people
hmm
because, like I said, the whole focus of the structure of this game has been player first, LGS second, right, and then artists and yada 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 all the way. And I'm dead last on the totem pole of all those things, right?
hmm
So in all reality, um, when you look at something like I mean not Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, right? Pokemon boxes are like $85 a box,
yeah,
right? So they almost, if they're selling them, pre-pandemic, they weren't making much money on these boxes, right?
right,
Uh, and I be upfront with people so they go, what, why is this game $30, right? Or why is it $25, right? Because it's just one pack of cards. But a
yeah,
lot of people don't think about all of the stuff that goes into actually getting to that point. And so the way that it was structured was actually half of that cost is just to the LGSs alone,
hmm
because we want to make sure that LGS is making money, because we don't have any place for people to play, right, in the future, with all these games going digital and more support going that way. Where are you going to go play, right? You're just going to be playing at home or on Untapped for the rest of our lives, which I don't want to do.
yeah,
um, but that gives them, a really, really appealing thing to say, hey, if I can get a steady group of people that are playing this, and I don't know that they're for sure going to buy their one or two champions every 2 months, right? Then it could potentially, if they have enough people, be as profitable for them as if they had people,
yeah.
buying like Yu-Gi-Oh packs or Pokemon or those things.
Yeah, for me personally, where I live as well, like geography and demographics are a huge part of being able to support LGSs and support games in these kinds of spots. Like where I live, like if you put me as an epicenter, like literally one whole quadrant, our demographic is fish, and the other three quadrants are trees. So like and then like beyond the other side of the trees is like big cities like Syracuse, Rochester and all like those kinds of cities. And those are all like hour away. So like my little spot that I go to is a nice town and it's got a good community there, but it's so small. It's hard like the small communities are already so hyper focused on what they're already invested in. And
Yeah,
so
that's super true. It's hard to get people to migrate from stuff.
yeah.
They're like, you're gonna, you'll have to pry my blue eyes from my cold dead hands.
Yeah. Like, and I get it. I mean, like, it's so hard to devote the enough time to be good at something that like your time is as much a resource as anything else, and as much as your wallet. So like, if you want to try to devote yourself to a hobby that's even a less expensive one, you still have to put the time into it. You still have to put the effort into it, and sometimes like it's just not worth it to some people to divert their efforts.
Yeah, totally. And then I guess what are your guys' thoughts? I mean, on digital. I mean, it's still something that's looming
I
over
I
the heads and.
think that it's honestly the future. Like as a competitive card player, I want to be in person all the time, but if I can play a tournament online at home, like I have access to a bathroom at a convention center, like you might be in line with like 15 other guys trying to get in there, and you're like, hey, listen, I gotta go, and oh, I don't have any time in between my rounds. I have zero time between my rounds because they're firing them back to back as soon as they get the recording in, they ship them back out, right? So you don't have time between events to grab food, to grab something to drink, to stay refreshed, to stay focused. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of things. Now, besides that, there's a lot of opportunities to be made in building connections in person that you can't build online the same way. So it's a real struggle to find that balance because there's pros and cons to both. You don't have to travel, you don't have to spend money on travel, spend money on a hotel in order to play online. So it's a lot more cost effective for people, but you lose that connectivity. So it's based on what people value more. And for us, we want to go to tournaments because of our connectivity that we want to build.
Agreed. I just like physical cards in my hand. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
can play with physical cards, I'll play with physical cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, shuffling physical cards and doing the Yu-Gi-Oh shuffle is therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
it really is. Like I do not mind playing online. I would like once we get a better median
Yeah, the
as far as
platform is important.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like struggling with tabletop simulators to be able to explore your underworld zone is just very it's
Problematic.
hard. Like you literally have to like move every single card just so that you can like look through it. It takes a lot of time and a lot of focus away from what you're actually trying to do. And you just might want to like take a peek at it without your opponent knowing exactly what you know. Like you might not want to give that tell that you're looking for something in your graveyard. So like it's challenging. I like some of the automated stuff from Arena, but at the same time, Arena takes away a lot of that a lot of that interaction with the game itself for you. That makes it fun to play. Um, I liked Tabletop Simulator because you can pile something up and search a pile. You can look through things, you can move things, you can actually lay the cards on the table and play and figure it out. Um, you can deck build on Tabletop Simulator very smoothly. It's very so much easier than on tap for deck building and brewing decks and for streaming. It's just a lot more friendly from my experience personally.
Rogue, have you used anything like Dueling Book or Dueling Network? Either you or Tom.
Yeah.
I used
Yeah.
Dueling Network long ago.
Yeah. I mean, I use Nexus almost daily because it's like the most accessible one. But I've used like all of them pretty much.
And what is your thoughts on it? Like, are there like big pain points with that, or?
And the biggest difference is like whether it's a manual simulator or an automatic simulator. Like the
And
downside of
Is Nexus an automatic sim?
yeah, Nexus is automatic and Dueling Book is the manual one. And the downside to an automatic one is like if you have a response to like your opponent's actions,
Yeah, it like
they
handholds you.
like yeah like they'll know because it'll like a timer will run for them or something. But with a like manual one, it's just a time investment over an automatic sim.
And so that's one of the reasons why I like doing webcam events too, is because you can actually feel the card, you can shuffle the decks, you can play with the cards themselves. So between playing on an online platform and playing in webcam, I feel like that's going to be um, a majority of the things is I'd like to still have the travel tournaments, and I'd like to be able to still go to these big tournaments. They're a
Yeah.
ton of fun. I love to travel. I love to meet people. And so it's really important to be like, finally, hey, I finally have a face to the name, when you're talking to somebody. Like, I know so many people who I've never met in person just through my online interactions, and I've developed those connections online. And not knowing them in real life is difficult because even if you have a good connection online, you don't really know, you don't have that same connection in person.
Yeah.
But like,
what do you
yeah,
think about the cheating aspect? Because I know eventually we're gonna have to face that problem, right?
right.
Uh,
So what we
Yu-Gi-Oh
do,
just had an event, a big event, and
hmm
the dude cheated his way to being champion. Like it was blatantly on screen.
hmm
Well, that's bad judging at that point.
yeah,
Like if let's say we're doing a big event and we have what six to 10 different judges, like you would set aside and a specific number, like you would obviously make it known, hey, if you see something, flag it, we'll go. But like that's an issue on like both sides. Like obviously the guy cheated, he knew what he was doing, but it's also like your opponent's not paying attention and like they're gonna use that as an advantage.
Yeah. There's fault on both sides. With
Yeah.
cheating.
So obviously to adjust cheating, it's impossible to stop a cheater from cheating, right? You might catch them, sure, but if somebody wants to cheat and they start to get good at it, they're going to do so. And unfortunately, it can be hard to find those people. And honestly, it can be hard to find those people even in an in-person tournament. Like those same people are gonna cheat in person as they do on webcam tournaments. So to use it as a justification not for to use webcam tournaments is not very good. There's a few things that you could do in a webcam tournament to really keep an eye on things, right? So when we do our webcam tournaments, we say, hey, listen, you got to make sure that at all times your hand is in the view of the camera. And it
Yeah.
could just be the back of the hand, right? But it has to be the full hand, and you can put your cards down in a very specific spot on the base where your palms would rest. You can, when
Right,
you
right, yeah.
go between zones, you put a card down before you pick up another zone. Um, and you just keep everything very clean. If you keep your actions and you keep your hands and you keep the view clean, then it's very hard to cheat. And so you just got to make sure that that stipulation and understanding is there, and explanation for people to know how to set up properly, so that they don't accidentally break rules, because that happens too, right? So sometimes you could do something by accident that you're not and actually cheating, but it's cheating as a result.
Right. So essentially, you're just saying that like, as long as we have like a really hard stance policy on it, and these things are very very clear as to,
hmm
hey, like it's gonna suck if this happens, but we got to be really on the ball about these things so that we can make sure that everyone's having a good experience
hmm
while playing online like this.
If you have like a standardized, what's it? Like a standardized
Format.
diagram of just how things should be placed,
hmm
then like most of the time people can just follow that and it'll be fine. Like, as long as you've got your entire playing field in view, like hand on the field, playing hand on the field, and zones clearly marked out.
hmm
Like,
Like I even go so much as to say in my setups that the deck box should be on the edge of the camera view at all times.
yeah,
That way, when you go to do your sideboard, there's no sideboarding shenanigans.
Well, and thankfully, like how Nick is set up this game and how the zones are set up, like it's to prevent, like initially preventing any kind of mishaps going. Like you have your underworld on one side and your afterworld on the right side, but they're very obviously distinctly like shown.
Yeah, and that's specifically why I actually put them at the top of the mat versus at the bottom, because a lot of times a lot of that weird shenanigan stuff happens with people like checking graves and sliding stuff off tables, and doing things like that. So it was more of a preventative measure than anything for the positioning of that stuff up at the top.
Yeah. I feel like if we go back to the deck spot here too, the deck being on the left is difficult for me.
Yeah.
It's very confusing and very.
Oh, you missed it. You missed it. I got a surprise for you. One moment, please.
Oh,
Yeah, he
Oh,
hasn't seen it.
he what?
Oh, no, I said Lee hasn't seen it yet.
Do we have a new zone, Matt?
Let me do some scrolling because I've taken a bunch of pictures since then. I don't want to.
This is what happens when you work third.
So
Mm-hmm.
yep. So if you look in the judge calls thing, I think you might be a little pleased with what you have
Yeah.
as the official
yeah.
main mat.
So, I would suggest putting the gem deck above the main deck. But other than that, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, that was just for like a symmetry thing. They had a vote. There was a couple positions, and then people voted. And initially, gem and deck were right next to each other, and then the zone was slid to the left. And people just liked having the aesthetic for those things. But
I like the fact that the underworld and the deck are nowhere near each other, so you can't like accidentally, and I'm gonna quote
slide some
accidentally,
stuff over.
slide some stuff around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that one. Let me go ahead and just send these other two so you can see what those look like as well, since you may not have seen them. Doing tons of sliding around here.
Here comes the full party strife.
Yeah, man, it's
For all the ladies out there, and the gents. That's what you're into.
I mean, I'm just into it just because it's funny to just slap it down. So here is that fine lady.
Mm-hmm. That's the one I'm getting.
Yeah, it's the Kickstarter one. That's a really nice one.
And
I
then
like
I'm
the
pretty
greens.
Sure,
That's just like such a pretty set of greens.
I'm pretty sure that you're also getting this other one. Yeah.
I think so too. I think I tried to make sure I get something of everything. And like, by no means should I ever buy playmats from you guys because I literally have over 200 Argent Saga playmats right now. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. I have like literally over $2,000 worth of playmat inventory sitting underneath my desk right now.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for playmat specifically, it's going to be one of those things where, for the most part, people should just be shooting for picking them up as their participation. For entering into events, right? So once we get the ball rolling, whenever there's an event where people are paying whatever the entry fee is for tournament, instead of just showing, because we don't have random packs, right? So, at most of these tournaments, you show up, you get a couple random packs, and that's really your entry, right? And we can't do that. So, what I decided to do instead was have every time you enter one of these paid events, there is a mat for that specific event. And there is an entry promo card for that specific event. So no matter what, you always will have something of actual tangible value to take home.
Yeah.
With you.
Even if you don't top it.
So
yeah. So if you scrub out, you're just like.
So there's two sides to this, and I'm gonna be very straightforward and direct with you about it. I first and foremost, I love value. So I'm addicted to it. I love going to a tournament and coming home with a promo and a playmat just for participating in the event, right? And then obviously the top prizes are for the tops, and that's fine. But what ends up happening is we go to a handful of tournaments and then we accumulate this mass of playmats from these various tournaments. And this is how I end up having like 100 like over 150 of the playmats in this box are from entry level of the tournament.
Well, I was gonna say my from my side at least, I know that 90% of my mats are like the LGS mats that we get every month.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I'm assuming we won't have that. Like a once a month, we'll have a new promo. Like which was. So if it's like any big event, like we go to Seattle for the 5K, we get a mat and an entry card. Like I'm cool with that. Yeah, as long as I'm not getting 2 to 3 mats a month, like it gets unreal.
Yeah, no. This is more of whenever these big events where you're going to, they're not for regionals, right? So if you're just going to a regular regional, It's not that. You just get an injury card. But when you're going to the bigger events, then the bigger events will have those. All right. So I want to say probably 3 to 4 a year is what you'll have for that.
I'm cool with that. So,
Yeah,
question: who is this blonde chick in the back?
In which
In the
picture?
strife mat.
Y'all are gonna have to wait.
Okay. You can't be flashing some spoilers and not give me any taste up in here.
You know.
You know I got them eyes.
Yep. That's definitely a League of Legends kind of style thing to do. So you're on the right track.
I know, right?
Flashing some spoilers. Oh yeah, Strife's over here flashing some spoilers.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Flashing them stones.
So let's see. What else do you want to go over real quick? Because I'm gonna have to pop off of
No,
the
I think
stream here.
yeah, I think that's mainly it. I mean, we kind of covered the deck. We talked about the future, talked
Mhm.
about frustrations and goals.
Yep.
I think it was pretty productive stream. It's a long one.
Yeah, I was. I'm gonna have a lot of video cuttings to do over the next week here.
Yeah, you got about 12 hours of stream time right now.
Oh yeah, yeah, pretty much. I do. Luckily, I break it up between each segment by doing the little break thingies so that I can like literally just cut a video for each. I'm literally just gonna crop the video segment for each round and just like post it as is. Like, tournament versus blah 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 round one post. And then I'm gonna one of the things that I want to do. You saw how I organized the series that I have, the YouTube series for the Adventure Begins series, and then I did like all the intro videos for all the players that started to learn how to play the game. Then the next one down that I
Yep.
have is the tournament vids, and this is going to be like this is the next series is going to be this tournament. I'm gonna post that in, and then like how to play series. Like Thomas once he gets the actual physical cards, he wants to do a how to play series, so we're gonna do that and post that in that segment, and then we're going to have like deck building and brewing sessions, very similar to what we did just now, just here between us going over the cards and the decks and discussing options and potential builds and interactions and trying to figure out how to build decks and create lists on stream.
Do you want to give a spoiler of what we're planning, Lee?
Sure. What are we planning?
So we are thinking and getting all the logistics down about doing a podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing a podcast has been something that's
That'll be
been
dope.
on our plate to do for a very, very long time. And we just gotta find the right time. We just gotta find honestly, it's just the time. It's always the time, right?
Time and material. That's all it is.
Yep. So the material's easy. There's always infinite material.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Well, good material.
well, there's infinite material. There's semi-infinite good material. Like, listen, you can cover literally any subject, and how you cover it is what makes it good material.
Yeah, I think too. Since everyone has like an actual interest in the game, right? I think it makes it super easy to just go on and talk about all kinds of different stuff. So I mean, whenever you guys are doing that, I'm more than welcome. If you want me to hop on,
Yeah.
to come and join you guys, that would be amazing.
Yeah, fantastic.
To be a guest.
Yeah, having somebody who knows the game, like we're getting to know the game, but somebody who knows the game from the inside out would be very beneficial to conversations. Um, yeah, so I'm working on interview questions right now, actually, to send Nick so that we can do an official interview, a Tavern Brawler interview of Nick and Ethernia. So if anybody out there has any questions that they want to submit, send them to Tom and I, and we'll add them to our list, and we'll put that questionnaire together. We're working on it right now. We got a good pile of questions to put to him, but we want to flesh it out and round it out. This way, it has a variety of angles to converse about. We're pretty excited about that. Nick is excited about that, and that's something else that's coming out here soon from the Tavern Brawlers.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's gonna be really awesome. Looking forward to it.
Rogue, you were a delight to play with today in this tournament. If you ever want to come up on stream and play some matches on stream, that's always something that we're looking for to do as well. Just general matches like play test, build, whatever. So feel free to hit us up too.
Yeah, sure. Sure, if the time allows it.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm in the UK, so it's like 6 hour difference.
Yeah, you must be like really tired right now.
Yeah.
I work swing shift myself, so I mean I just got off of nights. I got home this morning, went to bed, and so I'm basically on Australian time right now.
Hey, Rogue, how far are you from Nottingham?
Quite far. It's like a 2-3 hour drive.
Okay, so not like
That's-
insanely far. Okay.
I was gonna say that's quite far.
And for London and for England, that is quite far.
Okay.
Yeah. That's like that's like me going to regionals like drive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like nothing for us.
Yeah, I would say far for us is like 16 hours.
Like
Oh, geez, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like I've driven the 16-hour tournaments. Yeah, I think it takes me 35 minutes to drive to work. I mean, come on.
It takes me like 45 feet to get from my bed to my workstation. It's
Yeah,
very nice.
well, you have that work
I
from
know,
home.
I know.
I can't melt aluminum at home.
I mean, you could, but not the amount they want you to.
Or the safety.
True.
So, with that, I think it's a good pause stop, I think, for the stream. If anybody has last remarks, say them now. Sounds.
Nope, that's it. Just make sure you guys follow Lee and the Tavern Brawlers. Would be really awesome if you're out there watching. Check it out. I mean, they do super dope content, and look forward to seeing what else they bring up.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks for hosting us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for hosting this event. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, no problem.
It was nice to actually feel like competitive decks in the game instead of just playing against intro decks.
Yeah.
So that was
it was
a ton
really
of fun.
exciting to see people be actually competitive and like really going for it.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Everybody out there, thanks for listening in here on the stream. Thank you for popping in. We had a lot of people coming in and out. Once we get some more stuff going on in the Ethernia world, I'll have viewer support as well for you guys. Anybody hanging out here listening in, I like to do giveaways every now and then. We're not too sure yet exactly what we need for this game, so kind of holding off on the giveaways until we get more settled into it. But hit that follow button, get those notifications. I'm a variety streamer. I'll pop in a couple other games here and there. I have my focuses on TCGs, like right now I'm playing Ethernia. But I might stream the occasional Argent Saga. I might stream some. Heck, I even streamed Age of Empires the other day. Like, I'm all into Age of Empires right now. Like, just like very casually. It's just a very nostalgic feeling to play that game for me. And pretty much any game that I can play with somebody and I have the time for it, I'll do it. And I can do it on a stream. So feel free to hit me up, community, and we can get some games going. Thank you all, and have a wonderful night.